Hi, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I'm going to make a video today about shame and about shame's effect in terms of communication between couples. I'm going to call the video Shame Can Make for Some Pretty Sensitive Eardrums. So, shame is an internal sense of self-contempt. It's a sense of feeling unworthy, and it's a sense of having a lot of self-derision. So you can see how somebody who feels that way about themselves would be very sensitive to critiquing. They're not going to want to be critiqued a whole lot if they have this inner sense of feeling not good enough. So, a person with a great deal of shame listens to critiquing as if their eardrums have been magnified and turbocharged. They're very, very sensitive. And that's what I try to teach couples in therapy, is to try very hard to not take things personally, to see how what their spouse is sharing is rooted in their wounds. And what we do as couples is project our issues onto our significant others. And what we do is, when we listen, we hear it in ways that touch our shame, and many times hear things that aren't there. So shame will make a whisper into a shout. Shame will take an observation and turn it into a vicious attack worthy of an equally vigorous counterattack. The couples that I work with who seem to have the most difficulty in their communication patterns are the ones who really don't realize what's going on with the shame between them. They don't realize that they suffer from supercharged ears due to criticism that they experienced in their family of origin. They think what they hear in terms of criticism or a fight, if you will, with their spouse, they think that that is what actually is always being said. They don't realize that they possess a filter which interferes a great deal with what you're actually hearing. And when they realize that their filter is causing the communication to be really skewed, that's a revelation. And it helps them to take a deep breath and realize that they may not be hearing things exactly accurately, and it helps them to be objective. So I'm going to tell a couple of stories about shame and about how people hear things and how it can skew a sense of reality. This is a story from many years ago, probably right about 1989, 1990, right in there, about 1990. So 23 years ago, my goodness. When I started my practice, had a little office in a small town about an hour south of Indianapolis. And I really enjoyed going there. I just went there 2 days a week, and I had a little private practice. And I was in a bank building with beautiful dark walnut wood and cheap rent. And just down the hallway was another therapist named Dave. And Dave and I became therapist buddies, and we'd have lunch and we would talk about being therapists, and we were both involved in the Rotary Club. So as my time there in this small town was winding down, there was a black tie dinner for the Rotaries and Rotarians, I guess it would be. And it was just before I was moving my practice full-time to Carmel. And we were sitting around a table, a large table of about 16 people or so. And there were a bunch of tables like that. And we were supposed to go around the room, and everybody was to stand up, introduce their wife and themselves to the group. My wife wasn't in attendance for this event, and David was single. So we went around the room, and it came my turn. I stood up, and I thought it would be cute and funny to introduce David as my wife. I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny, and actually got a huge laugh. The place just cracked up, and but as it turns out, David felt very shamed. I assumed he turned really beet red, and even though we were good friends, he never spoke to me again. I moved my practice to Carmel, and I called him. I sent him little notes. This was before email was even popular, and he just really didn't have anything to say to me. And as I look back on it, that was humiliating for him. He was a single fella. He lived with his mom. There was some speculation that he might be a gay man, which wouldn't have bothered me as far as friendship. My best friend is a gay fellow, so I don't have issue with that. But somehow he felt mortally wounded and terribly shamed, and I wish I could go back in time and not do that. But the thing that caused the end of our friendship really wasn't what I did. It was more the internal shame that David had of whatever that touched in him. I don't know what it touched in him. But that's how powerful shame is. Now let me tell you another story, a similar story. I wasn't there, but I've heard this story several times from my brothers. I've got an older brother and a younger brother. They were in Las Vegas and having a good time golfing and gambling and going to shows. And one night they went and saw Rodney Dangerfield. Now, you young people, Rodney Dangerfield is the old guy who his comedy routine was, I never get any respect. And he's I think he's passed away in recent years. I think he was in Caddyshack, if you've seen that. So, but stand-up comedian who've been doing it for, many, many years. And my two brothers are sitting in the front row. And like many comedians, you pick out somebody in the front row and you find something funny to pick on. And you make this poor person the butt of your jokes during the comedy routine. So Rodney Dangerfield found out my brother Sam we're all from Kokomo, Indiana. And he went to town on him for being from Kokomo. I don't know what he said about it, but it wasn't good. And he just lit him up all night long. And my older brother was just laughing and crying. It was so funny. It was hysterical. So, but my brother Sam is a pretty thick-skinned fellow, more of a counter-dependent. And he didn't get defensive. He didn't feel humiliated. He was being humiliated in the room. He was the butt of, many jokes that evening, but it didn't bother him at all. Not because he didn't have shame. He might have some shame, but it's underneath his psychological defense mechanisms. So that was an instance where the shame if there would have been a shame button, it was hit 20 times to no effect. Sam just enjoyed himself, had a great time, enjoyed the attention, and didn't feel put down or shamed. So the point of the video isn't, hey, this is how you take a joke. The point of the video is shame recovery has as one of its main applications being able to hear critiquing from your significant other without getting defensive, without overreacting. Critique is a good thing. Your number one critic should be your spouse. They know you the best, and your actions affect them more than any other person on the planet. So getting critique from your significant other is all good and should be encouraged. But you really need to learn how to listen, how to truly focus on what your partner is saying without getting defensive, without rolling your eyes. I get a lot of this. Somebody the spouse will be talking and I'll get an eye roll. And I see it. Sometimes the guy who's talking doesn't see it. Without overreacting, without a heavy sigh, without interrupting, without correcting, without seeking to set the record straight, you just listen. Pay attention. And hear what your partner is trying to tell you. And it will create an environment that is wonderful and very healthy, and it'll transform your spouse, really is what it'll do, and you'll be amazed. So when couples begin to really non-reactively listen to each other and hear each other, everything changes for the better in their relationship. Your eardrums don't have to be supercharged to where you hear stuff that isn't there that you react to. So it becomes safe. It becomes safe to say anything to your spouse without fear of reprisal, without fear of rage, without fear of wounding their spirits to where they turn into a pouty mess. And in a safe environment where both people are able to hear critiquing and not get reactive and take that information in and chew on it, that's an environment where intimacy can flourish and both people feel respected and they feel loved and they feel honored. And you can communicate in a way you truly feel heard. So this is what shame does. Shame keeps people from being able to hear what's truly said, and it magnifies what's said into horrible things that really weren't said. And to be in recovery for your shame reactions can help you to have not overly sensitive ears, but to have a humble heart and an open mind, and you're open to critiquing from all directions, whether it be your spouse, your kid, your parents, your boss, your therapist, your coach, your teacher, anybody, coworker, friend. You're open to look at blind spots that you might have and to consider it. So there are other videos on our website about shame, or on YouTube about shame on our channel. So check out and please subscribe to our channel, Family Tree Counseling. And also, I am currently working on a book on shame. And I'm not going to feel shame, but it's taking me longer. I'd hope to have it released by September. And I have a lot more hours to work on it. So it might be December, January, even February, but I'm working on it. So look for that. Thank you so much for watching the video today, and God bless.